How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the U.S. House passing the Equality Act. This act is meant to bar discrimination against LGBT people. So it doesn't matter your gender identity, your sexual orientation, you cannot be discriminated against. Now, this passed the House, but I doubt it will last the Senate. There were 8 Republicans to vote for this particular bill, and I'll place their names in the screen, also in the box. But there's a lot here. Let's talk about what this bill covers, and then let's talk about the real world applications of the bill if it were to become law, which it probably will not. This bill includes protections for employment, housing, credit access, education, public spaces and services, federally funded programs, and jury services. Now, what does that mean? There's a few things here. The first one, the most obvious one, the big time elephant in the room is bathrooms. So let's say you're 7 foot tall, 400 pounds of solid muscle, you're a male, and you today identify as female. You can be dressed just like me right now, not dressing as a female, dressing as a male, but say you're female. Now you can go into the women's restroom. How about if you're in high school, women's locker room? How about if you're in a public space, Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym? You can go into the women's changing room, the women's shower area. You could do whatever you want if you say that you identify as female, because like I just said earlier, they can't discriminate against you because of your gender identity. So if you look like Paul Bunyan, Jim Brown, Ray Lewis, or whatever, but you say today I'm a girl, then you can have access to the same things that biological women have. Obviously, that's going to be a big time problem. And personally, if I'm a woman and I got to go into a public restroom, especially if you got kids like little girls, oh, no. I do not want men to legally be in the restroom. Now, some are going to say, oh, well, a law wouldn't prevent a rapist or somebody that wants to be a creep from going into the women's restroom. Yes, it will, because there's a deterrent there. If they get caught there, there's going to be a criminal penalty. If they get caught there, they can be removed. But if they identify as female, how are you going to remove them? How are you going to, find them guilty of anything before they actually act and hurt somebody? You see what I'm saying? So that's one thing. And if it's me and I have a wife and kids and they go to the restroom and then I hear them say, Anthony, it's a man in here, I'm going in there ASAP with a weapon, and somebody feeling it. Somebody feeling some rocks. They feeling some blades. They feeling something, because I'm going to protect my family. But if it's legal for them to be in there, then I'm pretty much out of luck. I have to allow them to continue to be there. I can't do anything because now I'm the bigot. Now I'm discriminating against them. Now I am the one that's committing the crime. So my hands are pretty much tied. But let's keep going. You also have employment. Let's talk about sports. The NFL, NBA, they're trying to push this girl to be like the next biggest thing in the NFL. Listen to me clearly. I'm a big sports fan. I love sports, especially basketball, but football as well. But basketball, number one. But football, listen, there will never, ever be a woman in NFL football, ever. Can't happen. You have the best of the best, the top trained, the strongest, the fastest, the best of the best in the world physically playing this game that are men. And many of them limp off the field. You got concussion, CTE, all kind of crazy, just, your labrum getting torn, your knee ain't right, your back ain't right. The most accomplished athletes, the greatest of men physically, are reduced to a shell of themselves at the end of their career, which could be in their 20s or their 30s. How is a woman of any particular conditioning able to survive in that situation? Okay, there are biological differences here. Some people think that, a man and woman are the same, the innie and the outie BS. Men and women are drastically different. We are drastically different. Skeletal structure, hormonal, internal, external, brain patterns, brain functioning. We're so different from each other. It's not even funny. So there's no way that a woman could be in the NFL, but now is room for a lawsuit. Is room to try and force some diversity in here. I heard, what was that? The NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, talk about he wants to have half of the NBA coaches and referees be women. How does that make any sense? The best coaches in the NBA are usually former players or guys that have been around the game for a long time that at youth maybe played a little bit in their youth, not women. Okay. The WNBA is there for a reason. Women cannot compete in the NBA with men. The last guy on the bench on the worst team could dominate any woman in the WNBA. I don't care how tall or how skilled they are in the WNBA. There's no way that they can compete with men. It's just not possible. Okay. Then there may be this whole thing about payment. Oh, because the WNBA, they don't really get paid that much, but the guys in the NBA do. Well, it's about revenue. How much are you able to bring in? Okay. It's as simple as that. If you have females out there dancing in a club or whatever versus the males, I'm sure the women to make much more money because people want to see that. People don't really want to see the dude shaking his twig and berries around as much as they want to see the women being beautiful as women, which is their strong suit. Not the only strong suit, but one of their strongest suits, beauty. Men are not known for beauty, but women are. But to move right along, there are so many ways this bill can outright backfire. And if I was Black Lives Matter, I would be offended. They're calling it like a civil right bill, and they're trying to compare it to what black folks went through in the 50s and the 60s with their water hoses and the dogs being sook, that's the word, on us. I would be totally offended. I'm offended at the fact that this is even going through the House because it's absurd. You should be able to discriminate in certain situations. All right. If I'm a female and I want to go to a restroom, I would like for there to be only other women in there. Okay. You have the family restroom where it's just one stall and you got to lock it. That's fine because you can only have one person in there at a time. Maybe you can have the mom and the daughter or something like that in that one restroom with the one stall. Okay. But to have a airport restroom with like 30 stalls, you can have men and women in there. You asking for trouble. Some would say that I'm being paranoid. This will never happen. You've had plenty of cases of sexual assault from these so-called transgender people happening all across the country already because you've already had this law passed, and I think it was Washington State and or Seattle, the city. I think it was in New York City or New York State as well. You've already had these things happen. So now you want to have this whole thing go nationally. It does not make sense. You're going to make women more vulnerable to crime, and you're going to have women be forced to play on an unfair playing field. I did the story about those two trans women track stars in high school in Connecticut. All right. They came in number 1 and number 2. Like, that was a big shocker. And imagine if you're trying to get a college scholarship because of that. Now you got these men taking your spot. Okay. In the WNBA, what's to prevent some of these men that aren't good enough to make the NBA or the G League going to the WNBA? Juwanna Mann, we're here. This is real life right now. When I saw the movie back in the day, I thought it was just a movie and it would never happen, but here we are. So hopefully this Equality Act does not pass the Senate. I don't think it will. Like I said, only 8 Republicans voted for this, but we're going to see what happens as a result of this bill being passed through the House, what the president says, what the Republicans on the Senate side say, and what the regular people out there in America have to say as their reaction. So what do you think? Do you think we should pass the Equality Act? If you think nobody puts a plans to me, why in the comments below? You know what I think. I think absolutely not. Don't do it. This is really a shame to call it a civil rights bill, harkening back to the times of when black folks actually fighting for something to end racial segregation, separation. That was the real thing. But to say, oh, well, I don't want you in the bathroom with my daughter when you are Shaquille O'Neal at age 28 in your prime, you can lift a car up and then you got these girls in here. Or to say that you want to have a fair and even playing field for women when it comes to sports and anything else. Okay. And also religious liberty. That's the one thing I didn't even mention. Let's go back to the whole gay wedding cake thing with the guy who said he didn't want to really be involved. Now you have to bake the gay wedding cake. You got to do certain things you don't want to do because this law says so. It won't pass, I don't think. But what do you think about it even going through the House? Have the Democrats lost their way? Is this particular bill a sign of them not really being on the same page as average American citizens? Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.